up? Is it in the court system? Where will we be able to hear from these witnesses? Where can we hear from Mike Pence? Where can we hear from people inside the White House? Where can we hear from those who were there, who know what happened, and can add value to the case against Donald Trump? On what platform can we hear from them?
Well, let's hope that the many jurisdictions throughout the United States which are bringing up charges against the president, District of Columbia for inciting violence, Georgia for election tampering and election intimidation, New York going back to his finances, we were never able to find out issues related to violations of the Emoluments Clause while the president was in office. All of those things will continue to move forward. Mika, you're well aware that we are still in court battling through the court system to try and get the testimony of Mr. McCann from the first investigation and impeachment one. That is still an ongoing investigation by the House. So Mr. Goldman knows very well what the president is capable of. And that just to me highlights how incredibly brave Jamie Herrera Butler, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and these other Americans, Senator Cassidy and the others, who've stood up to the intimidation of Donald Trump and his followers, the quest for power of the minority leader, Mitch McConnell, and others who at any cost and by any means necessary will obstruct and cause our republic and this union to potentially be at risk for their own design.
Congresswoman, it's Jonathan Lemire. Great to see you again. I wanted to get your take on Mitch McConnell. You listened to him after the vote in which he denounced the former president and gave a speech which sure sounded like, to most, a cry for a conviction. Yet he delivered it, of course, just a few minutes after he voted to acquit. Just give me your reaction to the Republican leader as he spoke. And we understand the political calculation behind it, but doesn't it also just reek of hypocrisy?
It completely does. I mean, he basically took the script out of our office, the impeachment manager's conference room, and used those as crib notes for the speech that he gave after voting not to convict the president. It goes to showing that we had demonstrated by overwhelming evidence what was in fact true. I mean, Jonathan, I saw while speaking members on the Republican side, the senators, shaking their head in disgust at things that the president had done. Some members of the Senate tearing up over some of the information that we gave them, nodding their head in agreement. And yet Mitch McConnell makes this calculation for the retention of his own leadership to what he believes will assist them and gaining the majority in the next election to acquit this diabolical individual that was embodied in the presidency named Donald Trump.
Katty Kay.
Ms. Plaska, thanks for joining us. I'm sure you're disappointed by the result. I'm just wondering whether Nancy Pelosi's proposal that there should be some 9/11-style commission of what happened on January the 6th, an independent commission to investigate not just what happened on that day, but the security failures and to try to prevent it from happening again. For you, does that take some of the sting out of the disappointment? Is that something that you feel is not just necessary, but could be potentially useful and meaningful for the country?
I think that's looking at security risks are very important. But I have to tell you, Katty, one of the things that really struck me during the time that we were preparing for the trial was the parallels that this insurrection had, in fact, to the Civil War and the aftermath of the Civil War here in the United States, where there were those portions of the American public, and particularly elected officials, who continued to say, let's move on, let all is forgiven, let individuals who were treason, seditionists, who tried to secede from the Union, go back to their homes and back to their plantations, begin the violation and the terror on African Americans and individuals who were former slaves without a reckoning, without an accounting of what had happened during that time. And my concern, and one of the passions that I had that I brought into the impeachment and my presentation, was that we are at that same kind of reckoning again, that holding Donald Trump accountable is holding accountable some of the worst elements within our country, that hatred, that bigotry, and that we need to call it what it is, and it needs to be accounted for, or else it will continue and it will grow. My fear is that we go into a second phase of a Jim Crow in this nation, where there are those who feel emboldened by what the president did. And so my hope is that a panel, this commission that the speaker is so right in putting together, would also look at what are the elements that allowed individuals to follow Donald Trump, and how do we curtail that from ever happening again.
Well, in so many different ways, I appreciated your performance. Delegate to the House of Representatives from the U.S. Virgin Islands, Stacey Plaskett, thank you very much.